Voeckler has matched his pace to the Schlecks a little bit now. He did go a bit too hard. This is interesting now because we've got all the favourites back together again. It looked like it might explode at that point. Evans wanting to set a pace, looking very menacing though, Sean, because he's clearly got the strength that's going to worry. There's Contador's going around the outside of the group. The director's just cut away, but there he goes again. Contador, they won't want to let him get too far ahead. Contador wants to redeem himself on the Alpe, and it's Voeckler who's upping the pace now. Evans responding to the fact that Andy Schleck is going after Alberto Contador. He's had epic battles with this man before. He does not want to let him go. Voeckler has been dropped, and Voeckler has gone. He's got nothing left in the tank. Here is Tommy. Thomas Voeckler will just have to ride his own race now, Sean. He's been dropped from the front group, which is, we're coming up to it. Here.
Evans not there?
Nope. I think this is a bit further down, Sean. There we are, right at the front. Here's Contador with behind him Andy Schleck and Cadel Evans. Contador, as long as they can keep him in sight, they won't be too worried.
Well, I think you have to be careful of Contador, because if he takes 10 bike lengths, then it just keeps on growing out. And we can see here he's just giving that sudden up acceleration again, and that's the way Contador can climb. And he sees now that he has all the other big favourites in difficulty, and he's going to try and go on alone. It'll be interesting to see if Schleck or Evans can make any inroads into the advantage of Contador.
12 kilometres to the summit of this switchback, 21 hairpins, each one of them absolutely stacked with fans. Just look at this and wait till you get to Dutch corner with 7 to go. It's just unbelievable. There's so many nationalities out here. Canadians, Norwegians, the Brits, United States of America. This is Pierre Rolland. He's still ahead with rider Hushovd as Contador is coming up to them. The Dutch, of course, Swedes, Brazilians I've seen out on the course. Brazilians, for goodness sake. Hushovd and Pierre Rolland joined by Alberto Contador now. What is the gap between Contador and there is Schleck, Andy Schleck and Cadel Evans. Those two are marking each other, watching each other. Question is, Sean, have either of these two riders still got anything left in the tank? Evans, to me, looks as though he's slightly on the limit here.
Well, Evans always looks a little bit on the limit, and it's difficult to calculate when he is really on it. We can see there Schleck also, just keeping it going as Contador throws in another attack, and he's matched by the Europcar rider. Pierre Rolland, but Schleck is just continue on to make a pace here. He's going to see, can he put Cadel Evans in difficulty? Just keep on working at it, keep giving it 100%, and that's all you can do here. And you're hoping that the rider in your wheel, is just that little bit under your level, and you will just eventually blow him off your wheel.
Alberto Contador started the day at 4 minutes and 44 seconds back. He only has to gain a minute on Basso Cunego to go back into the top 5. Evans is at 1:12. Schleck, Andy Schleck, is at 15 seconds. So here is Frank Schleck, winner here before, as we've seen. He's behind Samuel Sanchez, and I think they're on the rivet again today, Sean. I don't think there's going to be anything from this group.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. The first number of kilometres, always difficult to make the calculation, because we're still 11.5 kilometres from the finish. They can riders get into their rhythm and work their way up, and Samuel Sanchez is not that far off yet with this group. I think maybe 30, 40, 35 seconds on the group of Contador.
This is the stuff that hurts from Alberto Contador. Pierre Rolland looks behind him to see if there's anybody there. For the first time, bares his teeth, grits his teeth, but he's going to have a real problem matching Contador. He's doing a very good job. Great riding by Pierre Rolland. He's keeping him inside, but Contador is trying to ride away. He wants to win this stage, wants to go away with something in the bag. Rider Hushovd is up ahead. They've probably got, what, 20 seconds, 25 seconds? 13 seconds, Race Radio says, for Evans up to Contador at the moment. Andy Schleck being forced to do the work today, and Evans, quite rightly, saying silently to him, "You do it, mate, I'm not going to do it." So many things playing out in this race. Pierre Rolland riding towards the best young riders jersey. Thomas Voeckler, who's had such a brave day trying to defend the yellow jersey, is now with Rein Taramai. His teammate, of course, is taking the jersey away from Taramai. Forsang is being caught and passed Bolke-Mollema from Rabobank here at the back. That sort of weaving style. But Contador has had a magnificent day today, Sean. He did the initial attack and has done most of the work today.
Yes, well, what a day he's made of this race, you know, attacking in the very early kilometres of the Col de Telegraph, and it's just been an action-packed stage all day, and here he continues. As we can see, Pierre Rolland just battling there at about 10-15 metres behind, trying to make it back into the wheel of Contador, and he's fighting very well, because we did see just a little while ago Contador threw in one of them big punches again, and normally he would, you know, pull out a bigger advantage, and it'd be interesting to see if Pierre Rolland has any chance of getting back to the wheel of Alberto Contador.
They're almost to the top of the steepest ramps here, Sean. It begins to ease out a little bit here as we go through the hairpins, and maybe that'll play into the hands of Evans and Schleck here. This is the last of the big ramps. Jean-Christophe Perrault still fighting in here for AG2R Le Mondial. Contador is riding by himself, but just what is the gap down to Pierre Rolland? Great riding by the young Frenchman. Here are Evans and Andy Schleck with rider Hushovd looking over his shoulder to see who's coming up, but Alberto Contador wants the win today. He's laid that down right from the very first kilometres of the Col de Telegraph. He wants to get away. I mean, he had nothing to lose, Sean, anymore, did he? If he felt good, he could go for it. Yes,
well, of course, the overall classification really, you know, out of this. Out of the positions that Contador is interested in, that's of course winning it, or at least getting on the podium, and you know, the time lost yesterday down in 7th place, so the stage victory here, and of course to win the stage on Alpe d'Huez is such an important stage. It's like for the sprinters, the stage on Champs-Élysées.
Yes, exactly right, yeah. Here's Thomas Voeckler, Rein Taramai fighting back against the riding of Pierre Rolland. Voeckler at the end of his rope now. He's still not given up though. He's still not turned to the cameras, as the riders often do, and say, "That's it, I'm cooked." He's wearing the yellow jersey. He has too much pride and too much honour to do that. He's going to ride as hard as he can now up to the top of Alpe d'Huez. He's back at 1 minute and 21 seconds at the moment, but Taramai is eating up the gap a little bit now that the gradient has slackened off somewhat. Alberto Contador looks over his shoulder to see how far back Pierre Rolland is, or if anybody is there with him. Rolland is doing a brilliant job, and that battle for the white jersey is continuing to go on. Look at the difference in style between Contador turning the lighter gear and the riders behind, Sean, in the group of Schleck, Sanchez, Perrault, Cunego, that group there, or the Evans group, sorry. They're all together now. Lots of bigger gears being pushed here.
Yes, and normally when you see the bigger gears being pushed, that's when the riders are starting to suffer big time, and we can see they're all coming together here. The two Schlecks now have to do something because you know, to see can they push Cadel Evans under difficulty, because tomorrow's time trial they need to pull some time out of Cadel Evans, because the position at the moment in the general classification, you know, Evans is in a real good position going into the time trial.
Yellow jersey and white jersey both fighting to maintain their grip at the top. But at 1:30, Thomas Voeckler looks like he will have to hand the yellow jersey over to another man today. At the moment, it looks like Andy Schleck, because Andy Schleck is in a good position, along with brother Fränk and Cadel Evans. Pierre Rolland by himself now. Lost sight of Alberto Contador, but there looks like a group coming up behind Pierre Rolland now. But what a fight by Rolland. Great riding. What a prospect.
Well, what a prospect and what a tour he's thrown in here, and nobody was expecting to be up in this company on the big climbs, and he has been through the Pyrenees and again here in the Alps. You know, he's the future of French cycling certainly, and the way he's riding, you know, they're talking about him. He's, you know, they're meant for the big tours, the Tour of France in the years to come.
Andy Schleck on the front again here in this little group. Fränk Schleck did try a little bit of a dig, but didn't get very far. He was immediately marked down by Cadel Evans. If this continues in this sort of situation, this group is at 37 seconds. No threat then from Alberto Contador as we see the battling Thomas Voeckler. Now just behind Bolka Mollema here. But going back to the group of the Schlecks and Cadel Evans, if they keep that sort of gap up and the Schleck brothers cannot get rid of Cadel Evans, you've got to figure that in the time trial, Evans is a much stronger time trialist than both the Schlecks, and especially Andy. And it could be that even though Andy is wearing the yellow jersey tonight, that Evans is in a better position.
Yes, I think looking at the positions at the moment, Evans is the one in the strong seat for the time trial, and you know, it should be that he would be able to take quite a bit of time out of the two Schleck brothers. But again, at the end of a 3-week tour, we've seen it in the past where it's all about freshness, and that is going to be a factor with this difficult time trial tomorrow as well. The other thing is that the time trial is pretty undulating. It will suit the Schlecks better, where for Cadel Evans, he can do both. If it's a flat time trial, but also the undulating one, he can ride very strong. But I think we will have to see some attacks on the Schleck brothers here as well. Still, you know, over 8 kilometres to finish, they will have to try and test Cadel Evans to see can they break him a bit and take some more time from him.
Well, Carlton, just your brief summary of the days in yellow of Thomas Voeckler, because he's going to have to part with that jersey tonight. Here he is. What a great ride.
It's been amazing. You should have seen the front of L'Equipe today. Oh, here we go. Action. Back to you, fellas.
Sorry, once again, back to me. Peter Velits has gone on the attack now, and Samuel Sanchez has gone off after him. Velits had such a good season last season, Sean, in the Grand Tours. Anyway, finishing up right up at the top at the end of the season, and going on up to us, proving that he's back to his best.
Yes, well, we see him in the Vuelta on the podium. He is a proven 3 weeks race rider, a 3 week stage race. Unfortunate this year in the Pyrenees that he got into difficulty, mechanical problem at a very, very important point of the race.
Samuel Sanchez has gone after him. 5 minutes and 20 down on the general classification. This man was 4:44 down. Let's go very briefly back to Thomas Voeckler. Carlton.
Yes, front of L'Equipe this morning, an absolutely magnificent picture. It's very rare that one man or any kind of sportsman occupies the entire front page, and he was there. And I think that kind of sums up what France thinks about the man. And indeed, you know, the battling spirit of him. We've spoken about it. He's shown it today. Chapeau, sir.
What a magnificent view. That is Alpe d'Huez. At the top, the ski station that has been turned into an international resort over the years. 1952, the first time that the Tour de France came here. Fränk Schleck now taking the pacemaking on the front of this group of favourites. Great climbing by Rob Rouge again in this group. Ryder Hushovd here, and Jean-Christophe Perrault, also Damiano Cunego. Which one of the Schlecks is going to attack first? Well, I thought it was Rouge, but I think is it Thomas de Gendt actually who's in the group? Velits joined by Samuel Sanchez. He's already had a stage win, Samuel Sanchez, of course, in this year's Tour de France. And now heading off in pursuit from Vacansoleil is Thomas de Gendt. Clean shaven for once, which probably what threw me there.
And not looking good from the Schlecks here. They're leaving a lot of riders get out of this group. We have seen Sammy Sanchez, we have seen Velez. Now we see the Ghent going out, and that's where you have to make the move when riders go in the attack, go with them, and it tells me that they are in difficulty. And of course Cadel Evans is just going to follow the Schleck brothers and keep them in close with them, and surprising that the Schlecks are not making some move. It doesn't look good that they're going to be able to put Cadel Evans in difficulty.
Samuel Sanchez has settled himself into a pretty high-paced rhythm. He's passed Peter Velez and is now off in pursuit. He wants a place here. 3 minutes and 21 now down to the yellow jersey of Thomas Voeckler. Quite right, Sean, that the Schleck brothers are not being able to shed people too quickly here, and that isn't such a great sign for them.
Well, you would expect them to react when there's attacks, and like a Samuel Sanchez, you must go immediately with him. If you're feeling good, that would be the normal reaction. But we can see that Andy Schleck is starting to make the pace, and maybe they feel that they can put Evans in difficulty. If they just make a very, very fast pace for a number of kilometres, then they maybe are thinking that they can get him into difficulty.
Well, look how fast Alberto Contador is going, because the fans are sprinting alongside of him. He's not hanging about, Alberto Contador. He had a dreadful day yesterday, and I've got to say he's not been in the greatest of shape throughout this Tour de France, but he wanted to try and do something today. He's gone out from the first few kilometres of the Col de Telegraph and worked like a Trojan for most of the stage. Remember, it's a short stage today. He could afford to throw a lot into it. 68 miles, 109.5 kilometres. A good decision in the end by the ASO to put this one in this length, Sean, as Pierre Rolland is being caught by Samuel Sanchez, because it's just provided spectacular entertainment.
Yes, well, it's what a day's racing we've had here, and you know, if you have a long stage here to Alpe d'Huez, there could be a lot of downtime in the earlier part, but with a stage of just 109 kilometres, it's just been action-packed all the way.
2:42 now. Back to the yellow jersey, and Voeckler looks like he's riding quite steadily, Sean, because he seems to have cut the gap a little bit here. It's come down from 3 minutes or so. One minute back to the Cadel Evans group from Alberto Contador. Sanchez and Rolland are at 28 seconds back from Contador. Well, it seems like not very much, is it, 28 seconds, but it's a chasm when you're climbing a mountain like Alpe d'Huez. And Sanchez continuing to blow a little bit just around the corner. Peter Velez back. Andy Schleck on the front. Has to concentrate, has to just keep it going. He did all this all day yesterday. This is possibly could be his undoing, Sean, that he had spent so much time working hard yesterday, and now they're forcing him to do the work again. Has he still got it in the legs? This is the thing. He's not being able to respond, as you've already pointed out.
No, he has been able to match the attacks by some of the riders who have been leaving, but again, he possibly feels that he can just make a real fast pace and continue on doing it, and we can see here that there is some of the riders suffering. We can see Cunego there on the rear. He seems to be suffering a lot, and still, you know, that group of the Schlecks, there's still about 7 kilometres to the finish, so there's a lot of time to, you know, push riders and to go on the attack on the climb still here today.
Sanchez, who's ridden out of the front of this group, of course, was one of the protagonists in the polka dot jersey competition, which Andy Schleck has gained points on today. Has put himself into the driving seat for that jersey. And of course, if Sanchez was able to get up to Alberto Contador and win the stage, he'd take 40 points in that competition. It's amazing, Sean. I can't remember a day in a Tour de France where all 3 jerseys have been up for grabs on the penultimate day.
Yes, well,
this is Dutch corner, by the way. Look at it.
This is an amazing corner.
If you come around this corner and riding up the Alpe d'Huez, even if you're suffering like a dog, everybody at the side of the road cheers you on. They push you on. They offer you a drink. That you feel like Evans or Schleck or anybody else. You feel like a Tour de France hero. And then, of course, you get to the next hairpin and it all goes silent again. But it is an amazing place, Dutch corner, and these riders will be going through it shortly. Not that it'll bother them in any way, Sean, but for your average rider, it's lovely to go through. But they are absolutely bonkers. There's nearly as many, if not more, Norwegians out this time around as the Dutch. But here we go. Contador riding through a sea of orange. And the group is back at a minute now from Contador. The two Schlecks, Hushovd, Perrault, Evans and Koenigo. In the middle still, Sanchez and Rolland. Look at this. This corner keeps the Dutch beer industry afloat for an entire year. It is phenomenal. This is Thomas Voeckler. He will get a massive cheer when he goes through Dutch corner. They love a battling rider. Our apologies for a bit of picture breakup. 22 seconds for the Rolland and Sanchez duo. Back from Alberto Contador, 57. Oh, we now got out to about, 57 is what race radio tells us for this group here. And still Andy Schleck being forced to set the pace. The big beneficiary at the moment, to me, Sean, would appear to be Cadel Evans.
Yes, well, of course, Cadel Evans is getting the easier ride here. We can see Andy Schleck just still working on, and what exactly is the tactic here? Is he trying to just pull time out of the other ones in the general classification? Voeckler, of course, losing time there, but you take the like of Basso, he's not in this group, so it's possible that they're thinking of the podium here at the moment, or are they trying to, continue on, make a very fast pace and see can they put Evans into difficulty. I'm not sure exactly what the tactic is for the moment. It's surprising that Fränk Schleck is not, contributing here, but seems to be in difficulties. Andy is having to do all the work once again.
Yeah, he does seem in difficulty, doesn't he? We've seen him a couple of times. Remy de Gregorio is up with Thomas Voeckler now. Voeckler at 2 minutes and 51 seconds. The gap has steadied at about that. He's fighting on, Sean. He would like to finish up on the podium. Whether he will or not's another thing as he goes into Dutch corner.
Yes, well, the only thing you can do here is for continue on, give it your best all the way here, and try and limit your time loss as much as possible. And that's the only thing that Thomas Voeckler can do here now.
Alberto Contador just has to concentrate and not try and be distracted at all by any of the fans who clearly getting it. Oh, he's not happy. Here's Voeckler. The angle will spur him on. The angle will spur him on. Clearly, is he being mocked? Is he being shouted at? Is he being jeered? What's the score? We don't know, but the angle will keep him going. If he is, for any reason, it looked like somebody was saying something, Sean, to him, and he just didn't like it at all.
No, he did not look happy at all, and interesting to know what exactly they are saying to him, because normally, it's not a situation where he's chasing down a Dutch rider. I'd be surprised if they weren't shouting encouragement to him, but again, Dutch speaking, maybe Voeckler has a difficulty understanding and taking them up wrongly. Yeah,
maybe that is the case. Maybe he's just on the ragged edge and using it as a spur. You couldn't blame him, really. He's put in such a performance. However, if they were giving him some grief, they should be chucked off the mountain immediately. And they won't be, but that's what I would do if I was there, because he's worn that jersey better than many, many other riders who've worn it over the years. That's for sure. I'm sure we all have our own list of those people, but Voeckler, a really worthy wearer of that jersey. With 21 hairpins, it's just never ending for the riders trying to limit their losses, and Contador smacking a guy in the face. I think there's an anti-doping protest there with him, and he's given one a smack in the face here. There we are, look. Good on you. This is getting a little bit leery out here, Sean. A bit more leery than normal.
It certainly is, and we can see it there, and it's such a familiar case on Alpe d'Huez where we get these spectators. They've been there, you know, since the early morning, and a lot of alcohol on board, and we see them, you know, getting a bit too much involved, and also, you know, it can be an obstruction to the riders. And it's amazing when we see, you know, the way the riders have to get through such a funnel of spectators that there's not more accidents. I always ask myself, when I was a rider as well, you're just riding there, you're on the limit, and they're just there in front of you, and you're just hoping that they will step out at the last moment out of your way.
Just look at this. It's absolutely incredible crowds, but they are getting a little bit too hectic around these riders now, and Alberto Contador has already given one of them a thump. There's not much pushing goes on these days. There used to be a lot more prevalent. Can you remember when Giuseppe Guerini, right at the top of Alpe d'Huez, ran into a spectator who stepped out in the middle of the road, right on the flat of it, on the run in. Ran into him, had to get back on his bike, still won the stage. Was it 1999? A long time ago anyway. This is getting really difficult for these riders. I think they're talking to each other about the crowds here, Sean. This is very, very difficult now. This is not good. And Evans very unhappy about this. He looks extremely uncomfortable. Andy and Fränk haven't been able to break him, but Evans, he just looks uncomfortable here.
Well, I'm not sure what the discussion is. Maybe the Schlecks are asking Cadel Evans to start riding a bit and keep this one going. It doesn't look like that Evans is agreeing for the moment, and he has the two Schleck brothers where he wants them in the group with him, and not being able to, ride Evans off their wheel. And it's possible that they're just looking for Evans, to start pulling a bit here. Maybe the Schleck brothers are thinking of the podium, and it's difficult to know. The other thing is, of course, with the spectators being so aggressive here and getting so dangerous, it's possibly about that they're also talking.
Yep, could be. It's barriered now, thank goodness, for the riders coming through. It's Alberto Contador only has a handful of seconds over Sanchez and Rolland, and I think it may well have been impeded a little bit by some of the spectators. 4 kilometers to go, and Sanchez, 12 seconds. Sanchez and Rolland are going to catch. Rolland is just magnificently sitting on the wheel of Samuel Sanchez here. And why not? Sanchez wants this win at the top. He wants the points. Rolland would also like it, but he's sitting on the wheel of the Spaniard. Fränk Schleck, the winner here, was a former winner here, taking the pacemaking on the front here. Thomas Voeckler, what an emotional rider. There's nothing that this man doesn't show. And I think he's got friendlier fans now. A little smile, half smile crossing his face there. 2:53 the gap. He's ridden brilliantly up here, Sean.
Yes, he is putting in a good performance, because we see him on the very earlier slopes getting into difficulty right away, and when you see that, you'd be concerned that there could be 5 or 6 minutes at the top of Alpe d'Huez, but Voeckler fighting on, battling on here, and limiting his losses quite well. And we can see Contador up here in front. He's he's starting to trouble, get into difficulty, or is Samuel Sanchez really getting stronger? It looks like that Sanchez is going to come back with Pierre Rolland.
It does indeed. 2 minutes and 51. Here's the gap back to Thomas Voeckler with 3.5 kilometers to go, and Samuel Sanchez at 10 seconds Behind him is Pierre Rolland. He takes a knowing glance over his shoulder, a little flick of the elbow, but I don't think Rolland is going to do anything at all. He's going to sit here. What a result it would be, Sean, if Pierre Rolland was to ride the wheel up to the back of Alberto Contador, taking the lift from Samuel Sanchez, and then nip out and take a win.
Well, it will be interesting to see how much he's got in the tank. We see him earlier on with Contador when he put in the attacks, just not able to match Contador. But again, was he calculating? He said to himself, well, if I continue on doing this, I'm not going to go all the way. As we can see here, Sanchez is not prepared to close it down. He's looking for Pierre Rolland to ride, and I'm not surprised that Pierre Rolland is just sitting on, because he knows Samuel Sanchez in a sprint here. Sanchez is, quite an explosive rider, so Rolland is just going to, leave him right away and leave himself, try himself out as much as possible to have any chance in the sprint against Samuel Sanchez. As the French are getting really excited here, they want to open up windows and they're getting totally carried away.
Absolutely, yeah. They've just come round and given us a big shouting. We have a blind in front of the window here, so it blocks out a bit of the sunlight and we can see the screen a little bit better. It is a big problem when the sun's coming in, but the French have now commanded that we open the blind so that they can see exactly what's going on when they come up to the line, because they think there's a chance of the man in emerald green, Pierre Rolland, nipping out and stealing a French win on Alpe d'Huez. That would be a massive coup for both Europcar and the French in general.
Yes, it will be a massive coup for anybody to take the stage here, as we see Cunego go.
Damiano Cunego comes out from behind the group. He launches his own attack. Cunego, who started the day at 3 minutes and 46 seconds down. Well, it's going to take quite a bit to get across to Velits and De Gent. I think he's just going for the placing here with 2.7 kilometers to go. At least he's showing. Here's a question for you, Sean. The group of Evans and the two Schlecks are a minute down on Alberto Contador, a minute and 4 seconds down. When do they have to start riding hard to fear Contador in the time trial?
Well, I think there's a number of difficult calculations for the Schlecks here. Contador out front, of course, and then the riders who are on the rear as well. Basso, maybe they're not sure exactly how much Basso is off. So they're in a position where what do they do, and they have to just continue on riding, and they know that. And we can see Samuel Sanchez makes it across to Contador here. We can see now, the two riders, we know they work well together, two Spanish riders.
Oh, look at this. Contador's been jumped by Pierre Rolland, and Sanchez, who's done all the work to carry him there, has to react. Pierre Rolland now goes on the attack with 2.4 kilometers to go. Is it enough? I don't think so. He's got the big gear on, and Sanchez is going to ride back up to this wheel. This place in the hands of Contador. He may be almost empty, Alberto Contador, and he looks almost empty, but he's got that kick. I don't think Roland's got that explosivity that could match Contador if he goes anywhere.
It will be an interesting one, because I think everybody is pretty much at the end of their strengths here, and they finish a real difficult finish here, as we see Pierre Rolland just upping it again, trying to test Contador.
Well, he's certainly testing Sanchez a little bit. Weaving from one side of the road to the other to try and shake him, and Samuel Sanchez will be furious with Pierre Rolland, but this is racing. This is the game.
Samuel Sanchez is not out of it yet. He's just hanging there, and
Evans has gone. Evans has decided this is the time to put in the attack, and Rolland has got at the front. Oh, it's all kicking off on the Alpe. 2 kilometers to go, and nobody's been able to go with Rolland so far. Pierre, if you stick at it now, you can take it. Come on, you put another kick in and you can get rid of them. But they will work together. Contador and Sanchez, they like working together. Andy Schleck has gone with Cadel Evans, who's put a big gap into the riders behind. Fränk Schleck is fighting to get back on the wheel. They've still got a way to go. Fränk may well be able to ride up here, but Evans has caught Damiano Cunego. He hasn't got rid of Andy Schleck though, but that was a big attack by Evans.
Yes, a big attack, and it's a real battle with everybody. You know, riders just in ones and twos all over the mountain here, as we can see Pierre Rolland just pulling away, and he is going to, you know, get this stage victory if he can keep it going at all, because the two Spanish riders, Contador and Samuel Sanchez, totally empty.
Well, this is an extraordinary end to the stage here in Alpe d'Huez. Pierre Rolland, the young French rider, is not only going to take the best young riders jersey, but he's going to win on the most prestigious finish in the Tour de France. Pierre Rolland, unless they come back to him in the kilometre and a half they have still to go. Rolland is riding away, having ridden on the back wheel of Samuel Sanchez. Surely this must be enough to spur him on now. Pierre Rolland. Samuel Sanchez is chasing, and he will be absolutely furious. Alberto Contador did a tremendous amount of work. He yells at Sanchez, saying, "Look, if I could help you, I would." Come on, says Sanchez. Come on, give me your hand. But Roland's got a gap here, Sean, and I don't think they're going to catch him.
It doesn't look like they're going to catch him, because you know, the gap here. Still on the uphill section, and it's highly unlikely. I think Samuel Sanchez just hasn't got it, and if any of them have got it, they would react immediately to Rolland, try and stay in the wheel of Rolland, and everybody just
the Flamme Rouge the Flamme Rouge is coming up. The 1 kilometre to go. Kite is coming up for Pierre Rolland as Evans goes again, and Andy Schleck immediately onto the wheel. This is a brilliant finish. Oh, the French commentators are going to be unbearable tonight. Jackie Durand, Alex Pasteur, Christophe Moreau, Richard Viron, they're all going to be in our ears, because it's going to be a brilliant win for Pierre Rolland. In fact, I think we should almost shut up and just let you hear the French in the background, because it's just going to be chaos here. There are hundreds of thousands of fans here. Of course, the vast majority of them are French at the top. But Pierre Rolland, what a ride. Well, what a ride for the whole tour. He's done such a magnificent job for Thomas Voeckler. You've got to say, Sean, he deserves this.
Yes, he deserves this, and you know, he's been such a performance right through this tour, working for Thomas Voeckler. But again, today it's, you know, an unbelievable performance. The win here on Alpe d'Huez, when you look at this morning, the riders we're talking about, it's just going to be an unbelievable performance, and a dream victory for Pierre Rolland.
If he never does anything else in his career, Pierre Rolland will be remembered for this win on the Alpe d'Huez. 300 meters to go. Sanchez has headed off in pursuit of him, but he's miles back. Around the last corner he comes. It gets tighter every year. Pierre Rolland looks over his shoulder. The French commentator Alex Pasteur is going absolutely crazy next door, because young Pierre Rolland in the young jersey classification is going to take that, and more importantly, the win here on Alpe d'Huez. That is amazing. Brilliant. Pierre Rolland rolls to a halt right outside the French commentary box. Here comes Samuel Sanchez. He won't be pleased, but he gets second. A canny game played by young Pierre Rolland. Alberto Contador takes third this time on the Alpe. He went out, he launched all the attacks today from 12 kilometers out into the Col de Telegraph. The question is, who is fighting behind? It's a big battle. Andy Schleck has just pulled out a few bike lengths on Cadel Evans. Evans has got rid of Fränk. Schleck almost. Fränk is having a go back at this. The sprint here is for Peter Velits, and now Cadel Evans goes around the outside. He's going to take a few bike lengths out of Andy and Fränk Schleck, but nothing more. They're not going to be separated by time, I wouldn't think. Over comes Evans. Fränk and Andy both come over together. Damiano Cunego, Peter Velits, Thomas de Gent. Here comes the big Canadian rider Hushovd, pacing Tom Danielson up. Another great ride by Danielson and Hushovd. Oh, that's taken it out of Andy. What a stage. What an absolutely titanic battle, Sean. Here comes Thomas Voeckler. Before we sort of draw breath, Voeckler is coming up to the finish line. Voeckler was at 2 minutes and 58 seconds. Here comes Rein Taramai in the best young rider competition. That jersey will have to go to Pierre Rolland tonight, the winner of the stage, and he's fighting all the way, the Estonian. And he's got Basso here in the wheel as well. And Levi Leipheimer, not a good day for Ivan Basso, Sean.
No, difficult day, and we see it in the very early part of the stage. The Telegraph getting into difficulty, never really recovering out of it, and not a day that I think Basso would have been expecting or hoping for.
It was Jérôme Coppel. Well, all the way through this tour, we've been saying, when's the French victory coming? When's the French victory coming? And he pulled it out the bag on Alpe d'Huez.
Yes, and when we came out of the Pyrenees, looking at the two Alpine stages, we said it's going to be an impossible one for the French to get a stage victory this year, and you know, what a victory by Pierre Rolland. This tour has just got better and better as it goes on for Europcar, and certainly for Pierre Rolland.
Here comes Tommy with Genesson in his wheel, just goes underneath him. He's fighting for a placing in the white jersey, but won't make any difference really. Great finish by Thomas Voeckler, fighting all the way. The yellow jersey will not be on his shoulders tonight, but that is a magnificent ride by Thomas Voeckler. All together now after 3, you know the word, 1, 2, 3, chapeau, sir, brilliant. What more can happen in this tour? It has been the most incredible tour I can remember. Pierre Rolland, faithful domestique, and worked so well in the mountains and on the flat for Thomas Voeckler, freed from that shackle today, chasing his own goal of the white jersey, and he took the win on Alpe d'Huez as well.
Félicitations, ce que vous nous avez fait vivre ces 2 derniers jours, c'était extraordinaire.
Ouais, bon, je me sens très bien, donc j'ai roulé très offensif.
Jusqu'au bout, mais c'est vrai qu'on ne sait
même aujourd'hui, bon, je pense que c'était vraiment une étape très intéressante du départ.
Demain, dans une avant-dernière étape,
j'ai jaune, donc j'ai rien à regretter.
Et maintenant, il y a ces 58 secondes, tout va se jouer demain sur ce contre-la-montre. L'année dernière, vous avez prouvé de pouvoir jouer avec les meilleurs spécialistes.
Ouais, j'espère que ce sera demain aussi le cas. Donc la forme est là, je suis bien. Je suis 1 minute devant Cadel, donc j'espère que je peux garder ce tricot jusqu'à Paris.